Hello and welcome to the Good Enough Gaming Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle. I'm joined by Jordan, Trevor, and Daryl, and we are just your average 30-something nerds that love to talk about all things gaming and everything in between. We are your good enough enthusiasts as we do our best to dive into all sorts of games, shows, and movies that we like to indulge in. We like to cheer for our favorites and shit on a few duds along the way. Let's see what we have in store today.
Yeah, where's
there
my cat? Gotta get my cat in.
Yeah. Pause the episode. Get the cat.
Today's episode is entitled How the Mighty Have Fallen. Have you ever gotten to the point of creating a character and been stumped on a badass name to call them once you finished all the cosmetic features and just thought to yourself, I don't even want a name. I want to be unnamed. Better yet, can I just be named after my profession or what people perceive me as? I just get called bald. What could possibly go wrong with that? Well, let's find out together as we sand surf the landscape of a new open world game. So fill your gauntlet with your favorite cocktail and join us as we try to Nyaal down a score for Atlas Fallen.
Nice.
It's a good one, Daryl. That was nice. That was good.
I has no clue what he's talking about.
No.
You're about to learn.
That was, I would say, the number one funniest things booting up this game, where it's like general, like for backstory for Kyle, who doesn't know, there's like a whole world here. They've kind of created like a caste system. Okay. So if you're like royalty and important, you get a name. If you're like kind of a slave, like these worker shitty people, you're essentially just called what you do.
Oh,
you're a merchant.
Yeah, like there's traveling merchant. There's, like what the hell? There's like the smith, and I can't remember what some of the other ones are. Carpenter.
That's
like everyone's got these.
So lazy.
It's so funny though.
Smithy. Like that's like the other guy's name is Thief.
Yeah, the guy's literally just called Thief.
And they address him as such in the game.
Yes.
Yes. Like
that's like his name tag above his head.
Yeah.
Thief.
You are the lowest of the low. You're poor scum. You don't get a name. Like you don't get a name. And they reference it all the time. Like, oh, you're just unnamed. You're nothing. You're just unnamed.
Oh my god!
It's actually so funny.
It's a really funny way to work in like a bit of backstory, but at the same time, like not write a backstory for every character and be like, shit, we got to give them all names. It's like, fuck it, just call them what they do.
Yeah.
Like instead of groundskeeper Willie, you're just groundskeeper.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it.
It's like the best way to just bake in a lazy story, but it's like, fuck it, we're doing it.
Yeah. Committed. We are fully committed to this.
Yeah.
I'm not even mad about it. I kind of every
funny.
time Jordan and I are going through it and we ran into a new like person, I just laugh because it's like, oh look, we found the ditch digger. Like we found that guy. We got to go. We got to go talk to that guy.
Oh my god, dude!
So for the people at home, this week we're talking Atlas Fallen from Deck 13 Interactive, which I think we were all a little excited for, right?
I think you guys
the previews
the previews made it look really cool.
The previews were like they had me gripped. I was like, okay, the gear in this looks insane. The landscape looks crazy. Like desert based.
Yeah, kind of action RPG with a bit of that like superhero comic element to it, maybe.
Yeah, for sure.
It like even first glance, I was like, "Oh, is this going to have like a kind of a God of War kind of feel to it?" But in like in the sense of like East Asia, but like setting instead. And
that was one of the ones that we all kind of referenced at some point was Kingdoms of Amalur. Trevor hit the nail on the head there. The combat does feel very, very much like that.
When was the last time you guys played a game with a light and heavy attack that was fucking square and triangle? That was the first one. But the only weird one, and for Kyle, you can remap your buttons. Circle was not dodge.
Yeah.
R1 was dodge. I'm like, how did we?
was dodge.
How
That
did
was
we
an
do it?
immediate change.
I
Like,
immediately swapped those.
Yeah.
I'm not about this life. No, I can't do it.
No, the R1 dodge was weird.
Like it was. Jordan and I have been playing this co-op since the beginning. That's the only way he and I have been playing this game. We're going through the entire story together, and which has been awesome. But like that was one of the things I was like griping to Jordan. I was like, we're fighting this like gigantic serpent in the sand or whatever, and it's lashing out a laser, and every time it like the lasers come nearby and I'm trying to go the other way, I'm pressing circle and nothing is happening.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, like, come on.
Welcome to my Remnant experience.
Yeah. I think within the first half hour, I was like, I got to be able to change this, right? And that was the first thing I did. I was like, get this fucking
thank
button
God
remapped.
you could. Yeah, no shit.
It's like, I don't care if the interact with NPCs button is now R1. I don't care.
No.
I need dodge to be circle.
I always wonder if developers look at like controller mapping and they're like, we should mix it up. We should try something new.
Really make them
like,
think about it.
Yeah, it's like, why? Just do it like everybody does.
There should be a moratorium on that. All developers everywhere agree to a consistent controller map.
Yeah, and
you
it should be standard.
And you're trying to map things to make the most sense holistically for the whole game, so like the other components make sense. But even like, even not be like going up to an NPC, not pressing X is weird to me. Like that's
that was a weird one that they made it so that certain buttons weren't. It's like they wanted to give every single thing its own button.
Yeah.
Instead of having a dual mapped X button, they're like, X is only jump. It cannot be anything else.
Giving these millennial controllers participation ribbons.
Things can do two things.
Yeah.
It's just that stuff I think is really funny. But overall, that was the only button thing I had to change. Like otherwise, everything made sense. And light and heavy attacks being square and triangle. I was like, this is great. This is a throwback.
It definitely feels in like the best ways and in some of the not so best ways possible. It does feel like a PS3, Xbox 360 like open world action game.
Up-res, it runs on new systems, like just runs a bit smoother, less loading. It definitely kind of in the same way we've talked about like Sea of Stars and some of these like classic pixel games. This hits that like that mid-generation RPG hack and slash game like perfectly.
Yeah, like that generation, we had so many action RPGs that were like button mash, combo hitting, like dashing around the map and shit.
Got like Darksiders and stuff. Like,
does it have like a combo system? Can you do like different sort of?
So you'll love this
all
like
the combos.
It's actually really smart. So it's a momentum system. So essentially, you build a bar of momentum based off of hitting things, not getting hit, stuff like that. But within each, there's 3 tiers of momentum. You have like a specialty attack, and then you have like boosts. So you pick up all of these, like essentially, like it's like socketing gems in Diablo or like a game like that, but they're skills. Yeah. So it's like this one's like you start with more momentum. You get a ground pound attack that does like an AoE damage thing. So you get to build it, and there's a lot of them that kind of like you could definitely do like a meta build in this game.
You could,
like,
you thought everything,
you can like
looked at it.
You can min max the fuck out of it.
And for sure.
Like, really cool builds to be like, well, I like to do, and there's kind of they're all color coded, so there's like 3 or 4 kind of play styles to them. So depending on how you play, there's like some very easy builds to follow, just color coding.
Okay.
Yeah. Which
I like awesome. I like that they also did instead of giving you like a superpower near the end kind of thing, like a very overpowered slotted move.
Yeah.
You can get the other ones, but they come with caveats. So it's like you can do 3 times as much damage, but you're also going to take that much more when you get hit.
Yeah. Okay.
And so like you can make yourself a glass cannon. Like that's what we're like the builds you can do, like Trevor's saying, is all over the place. But you have red, you have the red like aspects, whatever they're called,
damage kind of stuff.
Essence stones.
Essence stones. Like so you have the red ones for offense,
types.
The yellow ones are for defense. the purple ones are for like stun and AoE and other effects, and the green ones are for like healing or
like health regen
or like resource return and stuff like that.
Green is always healing.
Yes.
Yeah. But they got the colors right.
Yeah, it's good. It's actually it's nice. That's the bonus. So Jordan and I have like made our characters different, so that we're doing different things. So we're targeting different weaknesses with different enemies. I have a heal bubble that helps both of us. Like when it I can pop it and so it's got lots of customization properties that I wasn't expecting out of that style of combat game.
Because you also then get like a ruin or something. You get like one like unique. I can't even remember. There's so many fucking things you can like modify in this game. There's like the unique ruin, and then as you get further into the game, there's also you get your light and heavy weapon. You can swap them. You can do different builds. So you start with like an axe and a sword, but then eventually you get like kind of like the chick from League of Legends with like the big fucking power fist.
Knuckle dusters.
So you get like the giant gauntlets, which are like the part of the game. Also very funny. When I started playing this game, it definitely felt like what was that terrible game that just came out? Forspoken. The gauntlet. You put on this gauntlet.
Shade from.
Yeah. So you know you're the slave. You have to go out and do this thing. You find this relic, which is the gauntlet, and it starts talking to you. I'm just like, is this just a Forspoken spinoff? Like, what is going on?
They had the same idea at the same time.
It's just a
little better writing, I would say. Maybe not as like intense as Forspoken. A little bit more arcadey, but it was really funny. I was just like, this is a weird start to this game. This feels very similar.
It's been interesting. Like we've had so many games that have focused this generation on the loot side of things. And a lot of it, like to our pleasure, has been visual customization and visual loot. This one kind of does it differently, where like there is still some visual loot based stuff, like your armor sets, but they kind of went the other route where the gluttony of loot is in combat abilities, and so like those essence stones that Trevor and Daryl were talking about earlier. Like so far, I think between Daryl and myself, we've probably collected 30, and that's not all of them. You know,
it's like half the shit you pick up, and then there's just like random old world relics, right? Like I thought they were special. You just sell them, but like I was picking up parts. I was like, oh shit, am I going to build like a cool like mannequin robot? Because I kept getting these like body parts, like a robot arm and shit, and I was like, oh cool, I'm gonna like build a buddy, and I'm like, oh, I just sell it. That sucks.
That's the other like hilarious trope in this that I laugh every time Jordan or I, because whenever you pick anything up, like so when anything I go pick up, Jordan also gets in his inventory, no matter where we are on the map.
That's
be within radius.
Quality of life. I just have to say, like,
it's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing.
So I just laugh every time I see like prosthetic limb pop up in the corner.
That's what it is.
It's like you're picking up artifacts and you're selling them to the merchants because that's a high quality item that somebody else will want. And I'm like, Jesus, there's so many fucking prosthetic limbs everywhere. This is the most popular place on earth.
What happened here?
What happened?
Occupational health and safety needs to do a walkthrough of this place.
It just reminds me of Horizon when you're like collecting teacups and other stuff. You're like, wow, these are so rare. This is worth so much, and it's like it's a fucking coffee mug that says like World Spent on it. Like it's it's like like just shit like that. It's like, oh my god,
I found a USB drive.
You're finding quarters and nickels and stuff, and they're worth like 100 gold in this thing because it's an old coin.
It's old world stuff.
Like it's like, oh my god. I think that's funny too.
The funny thing, like Jordan said, is so there's armor sets, and so for Kyle and anyone listening who hasn't played, your armor sets essentially are what dictate your character level. So you collect ruins or soul points, whatever the fuck they are. You like every game, some form of experience that you then spend on. You get eventually, like I think right now I have 4 or 5 armor sets that you get from doing quests or doing the main mission and stuff like that. and then you level them up, but they have like a max level, and they each have a set of stats. But that's where Jordan said, like, they're really cool. Like the armor sets in this are very
they look great.
Like Amalur, like Fable, sort of like they're kind of big and chunky, and they've got lots of like dynamics to them. And then you can customize like the color. You've got different like little
change the colors,
little bits and stuff. And there's all sorts of dyes.
That's all I need.
Well, they even have a transmog system that's completely free too. So if you find a new armor set that's better than what you have, but you like one of the ones that you already were using, just swap it out. Just transmog it, and off you go.
And even when you transmog, you can still customize the color scheme again.
Yes.
So yeah.
They want you to look cool.
It is very Destiny-like in the sense that the gear that you put on is what your character level is. And so you have to switch your armor set to progress through the game. Like you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
But I understand for people like us that want to look badass, you know, that transmog system is there so that it doesn't really matter later into the game, which is nice.
It's not called Dark Souls, it's Fashion Souls, okay?
It's Fashion Souls.
Wearing the armor that looks the coolest. I don't give a shit what the stats are.
Exactly. Yeah. So this game gives you three weapons. So it gives you an axe, a sand whip, and then the knuckle dusters, which Trevor said, those big gauntlets.
Throwing fisticuffs.
Yeah.
I do partly wish there was maybe more weapon types, or maybe just variations of the 3 core weapons. Because you unlock all 3 pretty early on. Like you get the knuckle dusters, your 3rd weapon, before you even leave the first area of the game, like the first big open world spot, and then that's it. Like those are your weapons. So like that's a little bit disappointing, but
can you get upgraded versions of those weapons, or is it just like
not that we've gotten to yet? Like I don't think so, because
so you're just
when you're attacking, you're essentially just like you're not even really holding the weapon. Like it's like it's like a forged image of the weapon that ends up just like striking things. It's it's got really mystic, like you're pulling things from another world dimension kind of vibe.
Yeah, your gauntlet is like creating magic. These things.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a whole Miss Marvel thing going on.
But there's no way you
can very much so. Yeah.
So your armor would be the only way you can like upgrade your damage or anything like that. Like it's not like
yes. So like, and each gear has a, like Jordan was saying, has a threshold of like, and Trevor was saying like how high you can go. So your first armor set can only go to level 2 or 3. And then the next one you get can go up to level 4. And then the next one can go up to level 5. And then, but everything has kind of like 3 levels in it for the most part that we've seen. Like I haven't seen any gear with 4. The first one only comes with 2 like upgrade slots, but everything else has 3 upgrade slots. And so you can take your gear from one level to the next, but they vary in what they're doing. So the last armor set we got is like really strength focused.
There's like a sneaky
heavy
one.
hitters. There's other ones that like build resource faster. There's ones that are more defensive. It's just so you're just leaning into a kind of a play style for a little bit, upgrading it to the max, and then hoping by the next time you get around to another piece of gear of that nature, like it's probably going to start at that level that you finished at. Kind of thing.
I think they really want you to play into the essence stones that you collect, because the essence stones can be upgraded throughout the game.
Those can also be changed.
And so that really seems to be a lot of the play style. Like I don't know, Trevor and Daryl might have a different perspective, but like really when you're in combat, the only thing that I'm thinking of is I'm doing enough damage with my core weapons to build my momentum meter to do a special move. Like to me, those weapons really are only there to build up my special meter so that I can use whatever essence stones I've equipped to do like the high damage abilities or just, like the crazy stuff
to unlock those next like little skills. Like you see the little cubes light up, you're like, oh shit, I'm getting there, right? Like
I'm almost there.
Some of the it's so odd. Like it's so funny because like I'm sure you guys experienced the same thing. The start of the game was like such a learning curve, but they also throw you in front of some of these enemies that are just a pain in the fucking ass. I'm just like, why would you start with this enemy? Like, there's a couple like peons, and then there's like the giant sand crab. And so,
yeah, I was just gonna say, are you gonna talk about the sand crab? Because the sand crab is the
so
worst.
For Kyle and everyone listening, there's I can't remember, Jordan, what was their other game that they used this system on?
It was so Deck 13 has created the Surge franchise, which is like a throwback to the old Dark Souls games.
Gotcha. So within this, if you go to attack an enemy, say it's this giant crab, you will get a kind of like a boss meter on the top of your screen, and it'll have the crab's head and it'll have his claws, and they're red, or if one's gold, it means if you kill this thing, you get bonus loot. But essentially what you have to do is you have to kill each part, right? It's kind of like an old school, like you think of like a Sonic boss. You've got 3 stages, you've got to like knock out these different things.
Yeah.
So you have to kill each one to kill the enemy.
Yes.
The crab, when you start off with no fucking skills, the first thing the crab does, you walk up to it. You've also got to like learn extra dodges. So you start with 1, but you can eventually get 2. There's also, we'll get into the whole flying and jumping shit later.
Yeah.
The first thing you do, you attack the crab. He gets mad at you. He turns into a fucking sand tornado, and you just like cannot get away from it.
No,
like you're level 1, level 2, and this thing's just coming at you as a giant tornado. You're like, I'm fucked. And then your momentum's gone. You're trying to kill this guy. They add they put a lot of ads, like added characters to kill in this to help build momentum. But early in the game, they just fuck you because you have no way of dealing with them. Right. So I'm just like, if it was just those guys to start, it would be good. But the first thing I fought, I must have tried it like 5 times before I killed this crab. And I was just like, I'm getting mad at this game because it was like, why would you put this here as like the first thing to fight?
And it has a ton of health. Like that head piece of it has so much health.
Yes.
Like it takes so long to knock it down because whatever it maps out the body of the boss, as Trevor's talking, and whatever's red is what you have to kill. Yeah. Those are the pieces you have to break essentially to kill the enemy. So
and for the crab, this is like Fallout level, like Mirelurk, nuclear sized crab. So to hit any of those things, you have to use their like flying jump attack system. So it's like an anime. You jump and you can float, and as long as you're attacking, between attacks you can dodge, but then you have to hit something before you can dodge again, so you can keep in the air. But if you were on the ground in front of the crab just trying to hit it, you're doing 0 damage.
Nothing.
So like the learning curve of this game, you're like, they kind of ease you in, and it's just like, you're just like, oh, thanks guys.
It's interesting too because they explain it, but they don't really explain it. And so it is a trial by fire, like to Trevor's point.
The guy's like, aim for its weak spot, hit it in, and you're like, okay. And then the next fight you go and you're like, oh no, I can only
have to jump.
You're like, I'm getting gang fucked by 15 enemies here. Like, I'm not trying to focus on a particular part of this boss or this sand crab. Like, I'm just trying to hit something. Like, I'm not being that particular right now.
So it doesn't count. Those legs don't count.
Yeah, it is definitely a steep curve. I think the thing that Daryl and I have struggled with the most, even as far as we are into the game, is the parry system.
I hate it.
I'm the opposite of Daryl. I actually quite like the parry system. But
I hate parry system games.
Very difficult to get used to.
It is learned.
I was going to say, is there any game that has like a good parry system that you can think of?
Batman and Spider-Man.
I was going to say
and Spider-Man.
Arkham series and Spider-Man with the spider senses, like that's
those are the best parrying systems. Yeah,
because
those are the only ones I can manage.
Elden Ring this one is shield.
Elden Ring's kind of a block parry, but if you go to the old Dark Souls where you have to like perfectly time the block to then parry, that one's fucked because it's it's never worked properly.
Well, I think of Bloodborne because Bloodborne has no block. That you can't block in Bloodborne. You have to use the pistol, like the flintlock pistol. You have to shoot at the perfect moment of attack to stun them, and then you can do like your high damage attack. Like that one is fucked.
Yeah.
So hard.
This one, Kyle, is kind of more classic where if you're getting a lot of them are like with the crab, there's like some big swings and there's usually like the little red glint. So you just have to know your timing. There's also a skill that gives you a longer parry window.
Which when I got that, I used it, but I still suck. So it doesn't matter.
Yes. So the red red attacks you can parry, but a blue attack, like if it's if something shoots something at you or if it's the tornado, you just have to dodge it in some way.
Gotta dodge.
Yeah. Or just
the one thing,
run away.
The one thing I do wish that they would change it, and like I've mentioned this to Daryl, is if you're gonna do the red glint thing in games like this for a parrying system, make it fucking noticeable. Like the little red dot that flashes on some of these enemies is so small and it is so fast.
I'm spinning off 4 different things. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm attacking the crab claw, and all of a sudden these 2 flying fuckers come out of nowhere, and it's like you just get hit from both sides, and it's like I had no time to parry. I couldn't even see it. I got no warning. I'm mid attack. How am I supposed to parry this? Like,
and you've got the little the half circle with the arrow behind you that turns red. That's like something's behind you, about to attack you. And you're like, oh fuck!
Yeah,
like, it's just just a lot going on at one time.
Yeah, it is a very busy game, and I think that's where the learning curve really struggles. Is they don't ease you into it. You know, you're either fighting a giant sandworm or sand crab right off the hop, or you're in like a boss fight that has an enemy with crazy health, but then you're getting fucked on by flying enemies behind you all the time. So
these add-on flying guys.
Like if this game didn't have the ability to string offense and just like manage and kind of get away from having those parry moments happen just by being effectively offensive. Like if it didn't have that, I probably wouldn't even have kept playing. Like I would have quit like I did Wulong, because it was like that game was so heavy on the parry. I was just like, I just can't do this. Like I hate this. But
this game definitely does reward being aggressive, and I appreciate games like that. There's no health regen though. Like there are some essence stones that help with that kind of stuff, but that's the only thing that I wish that maybe they tweaked is like, you know, if I got hit, if I were to immediately, you know, dash back in and get some damage done against the enemy, maybe I would get some of that health back.
I think when we unlock more of those like rune and stones or whatever, like there are some of those like things that are caveats. So it does say like if you get hit heavy, you're gonna get returned health for the next 5 seconds or whatever. Like so you can get some of those things back. You just have to kind of figure out how you play, I guess, and that's more to the effect of the build is like I think there's effective ways to find out. It's just there is a lot, and there's a lot of like that component in there where you really have to comb through it and find the right pairings of everything to have the most effective build, which is like I don't really want to spend the time doing that in this particular game.
Like this isn't a min-max style of game, and so I think a lot of that will get lost on some people.
I think if we were playing at like the hardest difficulty, that would be a lot more important.
More crucial.
Yeah. But in terms of like we're just playing on normal, and like we died early on lots trying to figure it out. But now we've kind of like Jordan and I've kind of gotten into a groove. Have some things that complement one another, so we're doing pretty good in battles. But I also love we've been doing like the double dragon look. So
red
and Jordan goes blue, and we're just like usually in the same outfit. We're just different colors.
It's so good. Yeah, love it. This game, like I don't know if you guys did any of you ever played the Surge 1 or 2?
No, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, so like definitely the ability system and like the essence stones, a lot of their mechanics have been brought over from the Surge, because that was very similar in the same way. Like you played basically as like a bionic commando guy that put a bunch of different like gadgets and pieces on his body throughout the game.
Inspector Gadget?
And Yeah, kind of. And so it's like if you want to.
Okay, that's too good.
Next time,
Wait,
touch
just
it.
a sec. You got to do it
Next
slow.
Oh, yeah, get it.
Yeah, with the cat.
Yeah. Where's
There
my
we
cat? Got to get my cat in.
Yeah. Pause the episode. Get the cat.
You can't see your face.
Okay, but like, how fucked up is it that I still remember the Sneezuka episode of Inspector Gadget?
Sneezuka.
What
Sneezuka.
the hell
Wow.
is that?
It was a giant bazooka, but
That
it was a
sneezed.
sneeze cannon, so it shot like wind. That Doctor
Just a bunch of
Claw-
mucus
Than
at
shooting
people?
boogers like
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the COVID cannon.
Thanks, Dr. Claw. Dr. Claw invented
Yeah.
COVID.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Back in
that
the
checks
90s.
out.
Back in the 90s.
Yeah.
But you're
Somebody's
out.
listening to this and has started a new conspiracy theory. You're welcome.
Yeah, link us in on the Reddit thread when you get it made up.
Yeah.
We'll check it out.
So I think maybe since we took a left turn there, maybe we'll keep going left and turn left into our segment for the week, which is the Good Enough Jukebox with Trevor.
Good enough.
Jukebox.
All right. Good Enough Jukebox. For anyone new here, the Good Enough Jukebox, we kind of talk about gaming, movies, soundtracks, music, anything, if you're feeling the itch for gaming, maybe you're on the drive home, maybe you're at the gym or doing homework or whatever it is the kids do these days. Just something new and different maybe you haven't listened to in a long time. So this week, I'm going to take everyone back.
Oh.
2000
Take me back.
2002.
Oh.
This is not
okay.
Need for Speed, but this is the golden era of licensed music in video games. Not
Okay, I like where this is going.
And tearaway pants for Jordan
correct.
at 12 years old.
Tearaway pants, maybe like a Hawaiian shirt with some really tropical colors on it. We're talking Grand Theft Auto Vice City.
Yes.
Oh, so good.
Never have you heard so many 12 and 13-year-old kids singing A Flock of Seagulls, I Ran So Far Away in your life.
Yes.
That's the only song that came to my head.
Exactly.
Immediately.
Because that was I think that was the theme. That was the theme song for all the commercials. That was,
Yeah.
Get away.
Oh, God.
if anyone wants to look this up, it's actually PlayStation. Like PlayStation's Spotify account has the whole playlist for this for the definitive edition.
Really?
It is
fantastic.
Yes,
Like,
that's awesome.
It's Vice City. It's all Miami Vice. Like this
Yeah.
is the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack before Guardians of the
video
Galaxy.
games.
Like
Yeah.
15 years in
that's true.
advance. It is gold. Like Tears for
As much as we
Fears.
gripe about Grand Theft Auto releasing the same game over
Yeah.
and over again,
Yeah.
This one-
remastered or upped, they crush soundtrack stuff.
I'm gonna go through
Yeah.
this one. So we
Yeah,
got
they do.
Tears for Fears, Toto, Blondie, Daryl, Hall and Oates.
Hall
The
and
list
Oates,
goes on.
baby.
Like, and so I think this is mostly compiled from there's the soundtrack for the game plus all of the radio stations in the game.
Yeah.
Because that
the
was
radio
right.
stations in GTA are
fucking
always
awesome.
good.
Yeah.
They're
And-
awesome.
yes,
They're
yes.
They're
always
always
good.
amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Music is always top notch.
Yes. And so this one that hit me this week, I was just like, oh, this one's so good. And like I was saying, this was from that golden era before music licensing got so expensive, so they could actually put this shit
Yeah.
into
They
games.
could use it. Yeah.
And fantastic. So right now, this PlayStation one, this is 73 songs, almost 6 hours of
Oh.
content. Like this will get you
Love
through
it.
a work day. So if you've been jonesing
that.
for some
That's so
old
good.
games, some Grand Theft Auto, Vice City soundtrack,
Highly recommend.
Fuck yeah.
highly recommend.
Dang.
I'm glad there weren't time counters on games back then because my
Oh,
Vice City
yeah.
play,
Would been a
like
lot.
my playtime, would have been a fucking lot on the PS2.
You just kept,
I'm scared to
Love
know
that
how much
game.
I
just kept getting
time I
those
have on
hookers and
Grand
running
Theft
them
Auto
over in
3.
the car, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those that like to me, that's still the golden age of Grand Theft Auto. Like,
Agreed.
Oh, yeah.
I still say
Oh
that
yeah.
Grand Theft Auto 3 and Vice City are like the two best Grand Theft Autos of all time.
Yeah,
but I love
Vice. I love Vice City. I really enjoy that one.
I love the moral panic that those games caused.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
The outrage of the public and the media. Just the literal.
That was the second wave of like Mortal Kombat violence, like satanic panic style concern in the media. Kids are going to start jacking cars.
There's going to be a wave of 13-year-olds stealing cars and punching hookers.
Name another game where you were able to like go and pick up an escort in your car, have the insinuated actions of whatever was going on in there, the rocking of the car, boot her out, not pay her, kill her, and drive away.
No, well, you run her over.
Another game where you could do that.
You run her over and you take your money back. That's what.
Yeah.
Shooting down police helicopters with a bazooka, like, come on.
Yeah. Man, that game. And in my head, Vice City, that map was huge. Like there was so much to do. And
you know what?
For the time,
think it holds. I still think it's a pretty vast map.
It's bigger than some current games, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Great choice. I like that.
Yeah, that was good. Good pick, T.
Yeah.
Let's bring it back to Atlas Fallen.
Surf our way back in.
Yeah. So we talked about a lot of the game.
Break. Nice.
Thanks, Johnny Utah.
Great.
Bodie! I need to go watch that movie now.
Have you ever been on the ground shooting your gun in the air yelling "Arg"?
I need to watch that movie again.
Both are classics.
Break or Hot Fuzz?
Both.
One then the other.
Have you ever jumped sideways while shooting two pistols or something through the air?
Go watch those movies if you haven't, people.
Also, how have you not watched those movies?
Yes,
correct.
I think Point Break is like a staple of our generation. Like that was it was always on TBS. Like it was
always on TV.
Exactly.
Always on TV.
It was always on TBS.
Why do you think I love the Goonies so much? Shit was on every weekend.
Yeah. I feel like there was an endless loop of Speed, Point Break, and 60
Goonies.
Seconds. And just fuck. Yeah. There's like 5 movies from our era that were on every week on TV.
Yeah.
Fuck, what were we talking about?
Atlas Fallen. Sand
surfing. So,
I mean, there is a connection there.
On that note, because we haven't talked about it yet, the sand surfing traversal is fucking phenomenal. And I've talked to Daryl about this before.
Chef's kiss, baby.
So good.
More open world games need a unique way to travel the map that's not just either getting in a car,
a horse,
or sprinting everywhere.
A horse.
Yeah.
A horse that they give you 3/4 of the way through the fucking game.
Oh, fuck.
Or a flying pterodactyl that you get at the end of the game horizon.
At the very end, yes.
Fuck off.
Fucking, yeah.
Yeah, I think
it is so good.
20, 30 minutes in, it's pretty much as soon as you get the gauntlet, he's like, oh yeah, I have this power now. You can just fucking endlessly slide on sand.
Which, honestly, it's so satisfying.
It is.
It's so satisfying. It's so fluid and it's so fun.
Did you say it's satisfying?
That's
honestly, I wish they just added I wish mid sand surf I could do a kickflip. That's what it feels like.
Yeah. No, honestly, because
I wish I could do tricks. Jumping. I wish I could just do a couple tricks.
Here I am, doing everything I can.
No, it's it's actually sick. But I agree with Trevor. It'd be dope if you could jump and do a backflip. You can do tricks while you're swinging around as Spider-Man. It'd be dope if you could jump up and do something.
360 or something.
I would even love if they baked it into combat. If there were combos that had sand surfing mixed in, or entering into a fight, I could be surfing and do a drop kick or something.
You can kind of do it where you you're surfing, and you jump, and then you hit your like hold down, like triangle or square, like you hold down to power up and hit it, and it's like you can do like a jumping huge slam, and I was like, this is cool. Sick.
It feels really good. Yeah.
Daryl and his barbarian tendencies.
I can't help myself. I cannot be contained.
It feels like is it 300 where the guy just like jumps and he's like full arched back? Like that's what it feels like.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah.
I do have to say that combined with so there's a double jump and then you eventually get a double dodge. And like that includes mid-air dodge. So you get like a mid-air dash or whatever you want to call it. They use that like there's a lot of like climbing and platforming puzzles in this.
Yes.
Oh, it feels so classic. And I don't know why so many games got away from platforming and just like exploring that way.
Yeah.
Like everyone's like blowing up like everyone's blowing up their minds about fucking Elden Ring just adding a jump button. But having like a double jump and like a dash or something, like it feels like I haven't played that. Like even I think the last thing like Ratchet and Clank maybe.
Yeah.
Like bring back the Banjo-Kazooie, like the double fly with Kazooie, like shit like that's so much fun.
Well, even in this game, like there's certain structures that you can like raise out of the earth.
Oh, I forgot about that.
And like,
because one of the gauntlet powers is unearthing. Like it's like that's what you do.
Kind of like a Magneto thing. Yeah, you kind of just like lift shit.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Like that would be cool to see in more games. And again, take it one step further and like, bake that into the combat, or maybe there's like a finishing move where I bring this giant stone structure out of the sand and I just crush a sand crab with it or something. Like, it'd be really cool to see more stuff like that in open world games, just to break up the monotony that a lot of them have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Facts.
Anyway, that's
so. Yeah. I mean, if we're going down that path, what are some improvements that like, if you guys could add to the game, what would you add to it?
My biggest one, I think, with the sand surfing is you're obviously in like this ruined world of whatever. So there's a lot of texture on the map. So there's little sections of sand, and then there's like little sections of like, grass or rubble or whatever. I think they just need to change the coding just a little bit, because like the sprint, like if you're on regular ground, you sprint, and then if it's sand, you're surfing. And there's a couple times with the ground textures where you're kind of like back and forth, because your guy goes from like sprinting, like surfing to running to surfing, and you're just kind of like, holy shit. Okay. You kind of feel like Ace Ventura in like the off-road car. It's like, holy shit.
Okay, but let's remember that Ace Ventura was driving on flat land.
And that's what it is. It's a flat surface. It's just got the appearance of texture, and then your guy's just like, no, I gotta start running.
Right.
I think to me, like that's the biggest one to me that just stands out.
Yeah.
Daryl, I'm curious.
We've ran into it a couple times. I think so. There's a weird thing in the battle mechanic where if you leave the area, or if the monster falls into an area like outside of its sort of proximal zone of where it's supposed to be to fight it, it just resets the entire battle. Like no matter what your progress is. And like there's been a couple times where Jordan and I are being like, it does moves where it charges at you. Like a big thing is
it's all moving there.
And now it's like, it's stuck, or it fell off the cliff. Like it should just die. Like
that should be the end of the fight.
If I, like if I'm one of the, oh God, what are those guys that hold the flag, the bulls? Like they hold the red cape and the bull just runs through.
Like a matador?
Matador?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, if I'm pulling the matador act, I'm just standing there waiting for it to run at me, and I jump out of the way, and that thing falls off of a cliff to its death. Like it should just be dead. Like it should be over.
Yeah, it's like
it resets. And there's been other times like we're halfway or 3/4 down, and then all of a sudden we're like pinned up against this building, and so we try to jump away or get out, and then as soon as we get like into an area where we're not pinned, then like, well, it's like, oh, you left the area, so the monsters reset. And it's like, that's a that's a bummer.
Yeah.
Like,
It's a weird, I don't know if it's a bug or if that's just like the way that they've coded the enemies, but I don't remember a game in recent memory that's had shit like that.
I remember like it was a strategy in, I don't know if it was Elden Ring or one of the Dark Souls, where you would like try and bait guys to swing at you so their animation will take them off the side of a bridge and they would just die, and it was an easy way to get through it.
Yeah.
Like
both, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I know the exact fight Daryl's talking about, and it's like this bull character, and he'll charge you, and then you're running over to continue fighting him, but now you're out of the zone. So I think I reset my fight like 3 times. I'm like, but he's right there, like he's over there, and I'm going over there.
I
like,
can see
you're out of the
him,
arena. I'm like, oh, you fuckers.
Yeah. It's such an odd mechanic to me, and I was like, what? Like, even the second map, like, is so small. Like the area that you go into, this like ruined castle and whatever, this like underground area, this bridge to the next map. It's like, it's so small, and it's so crowded. Like the whole map should be open for the battle. Like it shouldn't matter.
Yeah. My thought is it has to do with the sand surfing, so that characters reset if you're just like running by. Yeah. Instead of like kiting the whole, game behind you. My thought is maybe they have like a way to reset characters, and it just kind of has a fault to it.
You just have the Call of Duty zombies thing where you're doing like a figure 8 to get all the enemies in.
I'm trying to get the Easter egg, guys.
I think my biggest, I would say my biggest gripes right now. I mean, the story's not great, and the dialogue.
It's not super captivating.
I have no fucking clue what's going on.
What do you mean, podcaster?
Number 2, podcaster number 2.
Who does number 2 work for? Number 1.
The dialogue's not great, and the story isn't all that interesting. So it's a bit of a letdown in that sense. And then I think, I kind of mentioned it earlier, but I think just the parrying just needs to be tweaked. Give the red glow that enemies have, either make it more of an audible cue that you can hear, or just make that red glow super bright and noticeable.
Throw like a circle around it or something.
There's got to be
needs
something.
A slightly bigger window to hit it. Like it's because it's such a button mash like fighting experience. That having a parry system where you're constantly like pressing square, holding down square, pressing triangle, holding down triangle, trying to hit your heel. Like there's just so many things going on. Having a parry system that is so split second is such a shortfall to the entire battle system itself.
It's not Dark Souls where you're like one-on-one with someone. It's like you're constantly in like a God of War setting where there's like 5 or 6 guys attacking you at the same time.
Fight every time.
So just like having this very particular thing just doesn't kind of lend itself to that style of combat.
I don't think it fits. It just needs to be a bigger window.
Yeah, and like to me, it's such an easy fix for that. Like you have a magical gauntlet. Why doesn't the gauntlet flash bright? Like, why isn't the gauntlet giving you some sort of visible cue to know when to parry?
I have an even better one.
Like whatever.
I have an even better one that, of course, we've griped about quite a bit. Imagine if they used the fucking haptic feedback on the controller that they won't shut up about, but continue to not use.
Yep. No, you're 100% correct.
Or even the controller speaker, right? Like, give me an audio cue out of the controller speaker. It's like, you have this whole fucking device here. Use it.
Get to them.
Yeah. Like. There's lots of ways that they could do it. Yeah.
I think that'd be pretty funny.
I'd appreciate it. It'd be helpful at that point.
Just give me like Jarvis.
It really makes it easy to remember the names of people in the game. Yeah. That's all.
That is true. Yeah.
Yep.
It's so funny. The names are so easy yet forgettable all at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah, it's one of those games where, the gripes that we do have about it, I I still appreciate the fact that a developer did a completely brand new IP.
Yep.
And I would really appreciate. I hope this game does well enough to get a sequel and to be funded for a sequel, because I do think with a larger budget, this could honestly be a very interesting franchise with the combat system and with, like the sand surfing and all that. It would be a shame if this was just a one-off game that never comes back again.
Yeah. Because for all of the,
that's my hope.
For all the little gripes and like systems and stuff that we complain about, like the gameplay is fun. Like that's like once you learn the systems, like the combat and everything, like it is a fun time to play through the game. Even if I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but I know I need to go to this objective and do this thing, and I get to find all these cool things along the way, right? Like it's
the map is not overloaded at the beginning with everything. Like everything is feasible. There are and it lays everything out for you on the map legend. So it's like there are 5 side quests in this. There are 3 areas that have this object that you need to find. Yeah. There are
6
this many hidden treasures. All of that is already laid out. It's really simple, so you can basically track how you're doing and collect everything. I love stuff like that because that's just organized and clean. Like I appreciate that a ton.
No.
Yeah. I love how fluid the co-op mode is, and how like Jordan and I are in every cutscene together. Whether like he starts a conversation or I do, it doesn't matter. The game is flowing really well. Visually, it's still a stimulating game. It's not like the crispest and greatest thing I've ever seen, but for where it is, it does make that kind of desert area enticing and exciting and different and explorable and fun to move around. Like the sand surfing is like arguably one of the best and most defining aspects of that game. But
I think sand surfing, I think that traversal honestly is going to be copied in future open world games. Like it might not necessarily be exactly like surfing, but just that really fast, fluid traversal without needing a car or a mount of some kind. I do see other games copying that at some point.
Or
somebody's bringing in a hoverboard and it's going to function like this.
I'm just thinking like Silver Surfer or something like that, right? Iceman, like you're just like making your own little like ice path. Like it's just something simple to make it different enough. But like,
for sure.
Marvel, listen to this. Take notes.
Yes.
Hire whoever did that in Atlas Fallen and bring them on board.
It's the best thing because if you're going to have an open world game like this, like, yes, this isn't Elden Ring. There's not like a ton of like really dense population areas on the map. Like there's some cool structures and stuff, but it's not, there are lots of open areas. It's an open world game. And this lets you get through them so much faster where you're like, I want to explore because I know there's a thing here. Run around. But you're like, now I want to get over there. And I don't feel like fast traveling because like you can kind of go between we'll call them the fires or the smith points or whatever they are, right? It's kind of like a waypoint system, but it's like, well, I don't use them half the time because it's just more fun to just fucking surf there.
And you can collect resources. You can farm a little bit of essence.
That's cool.
Dust or whatever to like fight a couple monsters along the way. But there's really not like, it's not heavy fighting driven either. It is really you kind of make it whatever you want. You want it to be super exploration based and just fight the main monster of each area to keep going through the story. You could just do that. Like you don't have to lean in super hard on grindy aspects. It doesn't really feel that way. And it's not grindy because you don't have to fight all the time and do the same thing all the time. You can
all the things over and over. Diablo.
Dark Souls.
Basically.
Okay. So I think I'm curious to know now, what would you guys rate it out of 10?
Who wants to
We'll go with Trevor first since he's
I think I'd probably give it I'd go with an 8. I think it is a fun game that I'm probably going to play all the way through. I like the systems, like I'm having a good time. Is it game of the year? No. Right? Like it doesn't have the writing, it doesn't have the backbone for some of that stuff. But to bring back a game like this that I think the game industry honestly needs, like a game with cool loot, a little bit more arcadey, like a fun, fast-paced RPG, like totally worth the buy. If you're hesitant, get it on sale. But honestly, if you've liked some of those old games, Darksiders, Kingdoms of Amalur, maybe even a bit of Fable, like this is an extension of that.
All right.
Yeah.
Daryl?
I'm really close. I said 7.5. I just I would have gave it an 8 or higher if I was a little bit more compelled into the story. I think it's kind of just like one of the major shortfalls. Like, it's an enjoyable game. I'm same thing. I'm gonna play it through. We're gonna finish it. Am I gonna go above and beyond to platinum it? Probably not. Like, it looks somewhat accessible, but I don't need to. Like, I'm not enticed to keep going per se. So, but it does have a lot of nice features and a lot of you
have a lot of nice features.
Oh, thanks.
Hey.
Shucks. Oh boy. Oh god, I'm gonna blush. Nope. I think it definitely has some fan service, and it definitely has, like, I think a lot of gamers in mind with some of the approaches and things that they did. So I can certainly appreciate that. So I think I'd give it a 7.5.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Jordan, wrap it up.
Yeah, I'm sitting at a 7. I agree with everything that Trevor and Daryl has said. To me, like, this is that quintessential AA studio game. It's not quite AAA, but it's not an indie game either. Like, it sits right in the middle. And to be honest, in today's day and age, we need more studios and more games like this where, sure, it might not have the super deep, like, collectibles and hidden secrets to find. It might not have the Hollywood studio level writing and, like, captivating story. But, Trevor and Daryl have both said the same thing. It is fun to play. And all of us are really enjoying the gameplay and the battle mechanics of it. And I mean, at the end of the day, that's why we play games, is because the gameplay is enjoyable.
Really? I play them to be, like, angry and frustrated.
Go back to your Warzone and Call of Duty then. But so it's got a lot going for it. I mentioned earlier, I really do hope this game does well enough that we see a continuation or a sequel of some kind. Because I would love to see what this developer can do with the second crack. Because, like, from the Surge 1 to the Surge 2, the Surge 2 was a substantially better game than the first one was. Mm-hmm. And I could see the exact same thing happening here. They listen to their fans really well, and they'll make some really good key changes. So I hope that there's a sequel at some point.
Sweet.
Learn from what they did, and I'm sure they can make something better.
Yep.
Yeah.
Any other final thoughts there?
Balls and wieners.
Well, we know it's on George, folks.
Balls and wieners. Okay, I need to cut you off because I think that's good enough.
Good enough.
Good enough.
Good enough.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube for more content. We also invite you to write an email or join us on Discord to talk about anything from our episodes or something else you would like to discuss in the future. Please subscribe to the Good Enough Gaming Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever else you listen to your podcasts. And remember, we might not be great, but we are good enough.